Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you for coming to this YouTube channel once again. As I am working with the Indian financial problem, and this time I am actually working upon the data modeling on the all and all selected part. So far, we have come across a long journey, and this time I am actually begins to understand that what is the difference between all and all except. Now, all is a function that is a table function that returns all the rows of a table or of a set of columns. All is not used to retrieve values from a table. That means it is not giving us the particular value that are not present inside of a table. So what does it mean and how this thing comes up? Now, if I have the money as a table and if I use the particular measures to create the DAX, I have uh, I have little bit zoom it so that we can magnify it so that we can all see for clear. Yeah. So if I suppose have the measure now in here, if I use the percentage of money uh, borrowed and I use the divide function or starting with divide, and thereafter I use the calculate function. Now remember, I am using calculate function that will give me particular value, not an entire table, which anyways I do not want at all. So if I use the calculate function and if I use the amount remaining, so the amount remaining will give me the loan that is in the disbursed amount particular part. And if I close on to this particular parentheses and I moved on to the new set, which is basically calculation of total disbursed amount, and this time I will use the total disbursed amount, and thereafter what I will do is I will simply seek out to calculate all the money that has been disbursed so far, and this time I am returning a table, so I will use the calculated table, and in here I will use the all function, and with this all I will use the money which is in the disbursed amount. So my money is in the disbursed amount, and if I just close on these loops, if I can just close on these loops, I can figure out that how this will actually work and it will behave. Yeah, so this is how this will behave, and notice that I will write the comment as in here that calculate will return the value needed for needed for uh, the table in loan money. And similarly here I am using calculated table to return a table in the loan money. So as I just zoom it around and if I just use it, I have my measures ready in here. Now the biggest and the very much important factor that if I use the custom column chart, which is this one, and if I just simply paste it in here, what I'll get is that in the axis part I use the loan type, and in my values I will use the interest rate, and I will use the newly created measure, that is the percentage of interest, and it gives me the single currency that has been borrowed and hasn't given me the other thing which I do not require, because the all has taken the subset of data from the columns and give me that particular value from the table. So this is what the DAX actually does, and that's what the Power BI is so much useful for. Now we'll work on the all except function, and the all except function removes filters from the expanded version of money, which includes all the tables that can be reached through a many to one relationships that can be helpful to give us the particular value of the table moving inside from many to one relationships. So in that we need to create the measures as well. So let's just create the measure in the money column on the money table. So a new measure, and similarly zooming back here again. So if I do that, so I write no number, no filter on money, that is equals to I will use the calculate function again in here, and notice I am not dividing it because this time I am using the all except. That means I need everything except from this particular table column, this particular measure which I am going to mention it. That means the data will be completely filtered down, leaving this columns or leaving this particular branch aside, and will keep zip everything at one particular time. So let's only just see it. So calculate, I'll use the total disbursed amount, and as I'm doing it I will use the all except, and with that all except I will use my loan, and in that loan I will use the all except that is required for me. So I will use the loan disbursed amount, and then I will use the loan interest rate, and then I will use loan end period or end of period, and notice I have taken particularly these three columns that will simply, it will just bypass it and will give me the data or the value generated through DAX. So once I do it and I close on my bracket in here and in here, it gives me, and yeah, and of course in this part what I'm doing it in here in all except, that all except will remove the filters associated with that particular column, and the calculate function will return the value leaving others behind. So if I just minimize my zoom and I just diffuse it, so I have my here. What I'm going to do this time is I'm going to line and stack chart, which is this one, and if I take this visual up in here, I can take up the part. Now in this visual it says the shared axis, so I will simply use the project name as my shared axis. It says the column value, I will use the newly created no filter on money, and I will keep this in here, and notice all are equal as because it is leaving everything behind. Now if I use the line values which is on in here, it will give me the particular picture. So I will use the disbursed amount, and thereafter I will use the cancelled amount, and thereafter I'll use the interest rate. Now I do it and you can see very well from here. And if I use the data bars or data labels on data colors, I use it. This is particular looks good to me. And if I use the plot area, it is fine, but this will create a problem. So if you can see that the data lines are quite going up and down, and quite is giving us the real idea that what is actually happening behind the all except. And this is what is about this particular part of the things that I needed to take care of. Additionally, the tables which we have here, we can use the loan status. That gives me the what is the loan status is currently, it is disbursing or it is not disbursing, the disbursed amount. And here I will don't summarize, of course, and then I will use the cancelled amount that is in here, and this will give me the rough picture of what is the current status of the data. And I can simply go to conditional formatting, or I'll go to simply grid, and I can simply go to column headers, and I will increase the text size. That can give me the particular part of it. So this is all part of it, and this is the difference between all and all except. Thank you for coming to this channel, this YouTube channel once again, and see you next time.